Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, we got a special call today here on the Beacon TVL Show. We're normally here on your screen every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, but we're here today for a couple special things. First off, it's a special day for me. It's my celebration of my spiritual formational journey around the sun today. So I have a special hat here. Oh, let me turn it this way. Look at that. Oh, it's not as good as my taco hat, but that disappears in my lighthouse here. So enough of that. But hopefully, this is what $10 on Amazon will get you. So that's the hat we'll be wearing today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am very old. and I say that respectfully to many people in our community. But compared to many people in the Web3 space, I almost have children as old as many of the people we've had on this show. So, excited to have another year here in the space. What can you say about the fact that we're over 100K BTC and we have 4K ETH? What can we really say about that? That's to me, that's pretty crazy. So, 4033 on ETH, back to 1-on-1. Clearly, the people who decided to sell felt really dumb about the fact that somebody else, like Sailor or somebody else is going to be buying Bitcoin away from them. So, again. Obviously, take profits. Never apologize for taking profits, but please stop selling your Bitcoin en masse. It's time to get ready for altcoin season. So with that said, we got some really great guests here today. Thanks for joining us today. First off, we have Robert Williams. Hire this man. How are you today, Robert? Thanks for joining us today.
I'm great. Happy birthday again, Chris. Looking forward to it.
You're muted.
Am I?
Oh, why can't I hear you?
Good.
I don't know. It must be the hat, because I heard you well until I turned that on. Why can't I hear you, Shreddy? Hold on. Maybe it's me.
It's not you, it's me.
Say something?
Testing.
Oh, God. Hold on. You know what happened is I probably just in my desire to put on this silly hat, I have now completely neutered my audio setup. It's me. It's all just me. Russell, good to hear you. Good to see you, sir. He's on.
Testing.
There we go. I hear something.
Check.
There we go. I'm totally. Oh, great. Robert, go ahead, sir. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Welcome, regular panelist here.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, enjoying the holidays. Looking forward to all season. My bags are packed.
Are your bags packed?
They're pretty well packed.
Very good. Very good. Our featured guest today, and this is the reason why we're having this call. It's not just because it's my birthday. If that was the case, I would have probably just turned on off the grid or something and streamed that live. But we have a gentleman that I met out in Salt Lake City, permissionless. Really great project. Really excited to talk about DeFi.app. We have Shreddy here from the team at DeFi.app. Welcome, Shreddy.
Very nice to speak to you again. See you again. Happy birthday as well. I'm just excited to get into it today. Gonna have a fun one.
Yeah, really excited, and man, I think I have vacation brain because I am leaving on vacation after this call. I have not taken a lot of time off this year, so I'm excited to take some time off with the family. We're actually heading up to Vancouver, Canada. So excited to be there. Thanks to my house takers for taking care of the rest of our house while we go on a little trip. But Shreddy, I just wanted to start with you. What are your thoughts about the last 3 weeks or just November in general. I forgot we're not in November anymore, but
Man.
what a November it's been. And how has that affected how you guys are looking at with what you're building with DeFi.app?
Yeah, I could even start back in like September. There's this, old TradFi view that September is always historically one of the most volatile months of the year. And so I feel like September for a lot of people felt like, here we go. We're going back to this like crazy, choppy, kind of like bullish bear, like crab season thing that we were doing for a year. And then, October hit, Uptober, as some people like to call it. And things just started to accelerate. I mean, I think there was a bit of a kickoff with the ETH ETF. I can't remember exactly when that was, but I know that was quite recently. And I think things started to heat up. You started to see some more alignment around, ETH protocols and different layers. And then, once that Trump presidency decision, I think any presidential win would have been sort of bullish, but I think Trump is much more so just because of the things that he's talked about on his campaign trail. At the end, you saw Kamala kind of leaning into it a little bit, being like, oh, okay, I need a little bit more of the popular swing here. But yeah, I mean, November's been wild. We've crushed, all-time highs after all-time highs, like day after day for many weeks now. I'm feeling it. I remember last cycle was a little different because you had this big run up and then I think a slash down pretty violently, but then it rose again violently like the next month. So we'll see if with some more institutional players, maybe things play out a little more smoothly, but it feels really good right now. For us at DeFi.app, that means, build this thing as fast as possible and get it out into market, because I think for new products right now, I would say it's the best window of time to be shipping. Most attention and eyeballs on crypto in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny. I was talking to my parents. Last night. They called to wish me happy birthday. They're actually in the Philippines for the winter, and the first thing my mom asked was like, "Hey, a couple of your cousins want to talk to you about buying Bitcoin." I'm like, what? Like, well, if you want to, I mean, yeah.
Typically that's like a sell signal, but then like this bear has been so long. I really think it's like just the very tip of the iceberg.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we're in fact, I don't even think we're in altcoin season at all. I think we're going to see a little bit of price discovery for at least another 30 days, because if multiple, TradFi analysts, and I guess some web 125 BTC by the end of this month, we're still in price discovery mode, and I guess we'll see how the market reacts. There's obviously a lot of bullishness. If we take a quick look here at the this Dune dashboard for the ETFs, we're seeing a lot of inflows, and we're going to continue to see inflows coming in. There's going to be obviously a lot of social interest as well, specifically for what's going to be coming through over the next 3 to 4 weeks. I have another chart to share, and that is from Benjamin Cowan, someone that I really like in this space. It's a really interesting one, and I wanted to kind of get everybody's thoughts on this, is specifically the ROI after the halving. As you can see, the most recent one back in 2020 obviously had quite a bit higher ROI. Obviously, it was a lot lower, but the one from the green line is where we are now. Because we're almost 250 days since the halving. There's a good chance this thing picks up and starts to move upwards pretty quickly. Interesting how this one kind of flattened out, and then the one in 2016 kind of kept rising. But overall, history probably won't repeat itself, but it should rhyme. So Robert, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on seeing something like this and just the bullishness over crypto with everything going on, uh, this last month moving forward.
Yeah, I would say like I never make price predictions for myself or anybody else, but my opinion on it is that the last cycle, like you just pointed out, kind of on the chart, how it kind of flattened out there at some point. I do think it was a stunted cycle. I think it
Okay.
was stunted in some way. There's not really a blow off top, for example, and so I think if I had to make an instinctual guess or like a educated guess, I would say that things are going to go higher than people expect this cycle, and so it might actually look a little more similar to 2016, 2017, because I think people are going to be trying really hard to time the top this time, but I think the mania is, as you also mentioned, is just starting to bubble up, like just the tip of the iceberg, and so. I think with the Trump presidency and the interest rate situation and the liquidity coming in and everything over the next year, I think there's a lot of room to run. I think it'll surprise people, actually.
What do you think, Shreddy? I'm gonna have to agree. I think it is. I mentioned before about that little like really choppy 2020 to 2021, and you can see it on the chart here after the 350th day of the last cycle, that dip, and then that return to that level. I agree. Being in the moment, being there, it felt a little stunted. You were like, wait, it couldn't have been that quick. And then obviously, you saw a bit of a return to where prices, I guess, wanted to go towards an all-time high. But yeah, I feel like this time there is maybe underrated. This cycle is underrated. People are kind of saying, maybe they're a little suspicious. They're like, oh, I don't know if it can really do that with the way that the institutional markets are playing out. And I don't know. I think I have to agree that it's underrated. I think there could be a quite violent pump. We'll see. I could be proven wrong tomorrow, but I would give the same. That's the feeling that I get.
Yeah, same. And I go ahead. Sorry.
I wanted to add also that I think the institutions kind of front ran retail this time with Bitcoin.
Yes,
totally.
They caught people totally off guard and left them on the sidelines, and so everyone's kind of confused right now still, like about how to play. Well, retail is very confused about how to play Bitcoin, and then everyone else is wondering, okay, are altcoins going to catch up? And I think there's a pretty good chance that altcoins are going to, fly up like a slingshot at some point.
That might make the most sense, because if someone is confused about where to price their entry on Bitcoin or ETH, although ETH hasn't even returned to all-time highs yet, they might look to an altcoin, and this could be a really good opportunity for me.
Yeah, it could be.
Absolutely. And if anything, I think the other big part, there's a couple of big catalysts, I think. The first is not just what's going on specifically, with the post-election, we'll call it the hype cycle. But the other part is specifically how state governments, I think, are really going to take advantage of this specifically, because we're going to have multiple groups doing strategic Bitcoin reserves. How quickly they get these off the ground, I think, is going to really kind of affect the price. Do we get some type of supply shock, some type of squeeze? It's very possible, depending on how quickly these happen. Dennis Porter, we talked about him a couple weeks ago as part of the Satoshi Action Fund. He's saying there could be 10 states with things with bills in legislature about having an SBR before Q1. So this will be a very interesting rest of the month to see what happens here. But seeing a huge amount of demand being pulled up quickly will be very interesting. Also, a big announcement before we head over to talking about DeFi.app is uh, President-elect Trump has named David Sachs the crypto and AI czar. No idea what this position does. No idea what the position does. But whoever watches the All In podcast with Jason Calacanis and all of them, this is a fairly interesting decision. David's a fairly balanced person when it comes to AI and crypto for the most part. So I find this a very based call, to be quite honest. Kind of shocked that not one of the Winklevi, honestly, are getting a nod for one part of this, to be honest. But it is what it is. I think this is a very interesting choice. So, anybody have any thoughts on David Sachs coming on as a crypto/AI czar?
I'm not too familiar with his background, to be honest.
PayPal Mafia guy.
Yep.
I can't. I haven't listened to All In a long time, to be honest with you. It's probably been like a year. I think I just fell off at some point. But I remember, I remember David having like you said, a pretty balanced perspective on crypto. Can't really remember too much of his talk on AI, and I don't think AI was as big as it was today when I was last listening to them. So maybe he's had some other opinions, but I don't think this is. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a little bit. I don't know, confusing. Like I don't know where David Sachs tracks on Donald Trump's radar. I would have thought that he would have picked. I don't even know if I have another suggestion, but I don't know. Maybe like Brian from Coinbase. He's probably too busy. He's like, no, I can't leave my. I can't leave.
Yeah.
To do that, but I mean, I think it'll be fine. One of the things that I just love to see is like what the split between AI and crypto is, and is AI now like I was thinking of like a stupid tweet yesterday, like is AI now crypto or is crypto now AI? Like is that is that what we're trying to say here? Is it the same class of technology?
Yeah, for me, my goal, my hope rather, is that the majority of these picks are done in a way that honestly they kind of stay out of the government's way, or rather keep the government from imposing a will of some sort, right? To me, that I think that would be the most bullish thing is if David Sachs has a very balanced take, and then suddenly crypto and AI get to flourish because there's going to be, if he calls it American competitiveness, I have no idea what that means, other than, seeing more. And we could debate this for a while because, Justin Sun is now a large investor in World Liberty Fi, which is, Trump's DeFi protocol. And, there's been some talk that there won't be any crypto taxes for any companies who issue crypto from the United States. Don't have that on the agenda, but I did see that on CT. So, it's kind of interesting to see an idea where businesses, thanks to some of these hires, from a crypto perspective, start coming back to the U.S. Maybe that's the whole point of some of these appointments is to kind of lift the iron wall, if you want to call it that, for keeping people from leaving, going, setting up businesses abroad, just to circumvent U.S. regulations. I think we're definitely going to see some regulations come through in the next year. Obviously, with BlackRock doing all the work they're doing with RWAs in this space, we're obviously going to see a lot more institutions coming through. And to your point, you called it beautifully, Robert. I mean, they've just front run the majority of retail that's coming. So does that kind of poo-poo the party? I don't think so, because I think there's a lot more room to run for just for the industry in general. I'm still a little weirded out. And Shreddy, I wanted to get your opinion on this because we've talked about this already. About everybody bidding all kinds of old dinosaur coins. It's like people are asking, like, what do you recommend? I'm like, well, technically, I guess everything is up. So yeah,
it's
what's
like
old is new again.
I think that there's actually a large undervaluation of protocols that actually work well, or protocols, ecosystems, whatever it is that issues a token. Maybe like someone with a actual financial background would disagree, but I'll take something like ARB, for example. Base doesn't have a token. I imagine if they did, it would do really well. But for a platform with, I think it's now the highest number of TVL of all L2s, you would think that it would place higher among the hierarchy of like top market cap tokens. People would be bidding it like crazy. And I still think there's like a catch up for a lot of these plays, but I think things like Aave make sense. I don't think it's going anywhere. Uni, but then there's like other tokens where it feels a little .com bubbly, and it feels like, okay, we can get quite a a pump out of this. Yeah, so you see here, like Arbitrum still leading, even in the last 30 days, bringing in whatever that would be, 5 billion or even 7 billion in TVL. It's pretty wild. So I think this is like a case for all L2s to really accelerate in price. But then you have to also take into understanding these guys have like vesting contracts that are paying out right now. What happens when those complete? I guess we'll have to wait and see until then. But yeah, I find it interesting that like newer tokens, I don't see a lot of new DeFi doing as exceptionally well as something like a Yearn would last cycle, right? But maybe we're a little too early to that game.
Yeah, there's going to be some interesting rotations. Go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of this dinosaur pump it might be just like exit pumps for people who are just like bag holding for a few years. Remains to be seen how much more room they have to run, but I would suspect that they're not gonna, pump as wildly as the new wave of tokens, or the tokens that are still the projects that are still very active from the last cycle. I mean, tokens that have pumped from 2 cycles ago, it is surprising, but I think they might be exit pumps for people just looking to break even from the pegs.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, you look at some of the ones that have really been big gainers, specifically Hedera, HBAR, Tron. There's some interesting institutional utility in a lot of this, right? Ondo, back up 50% is an interesting sign.
VeChain is super old school.
I know. I saw them like, who's bidding VET? Why?
Yeah. Like maybe like
and then of course
Altcoin Daily still holding VET from like 7 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why Cardano, why XRP are gaining in traction, because they're maturing their DeFi pieces. So that makes sense. I mean, even coins like Athena, which I think is a great beta play, moving forward. These are all things that make a lot of sense. Things like the Sandbox or Decentraland, some of these older coins. I don't know if I particularly see, the whole point, but that doesn't mean that they can't have decent returns for, for some of these people. Like, I think the joke is, if you turned off your wallet in 2021 and woke back up, you're like, oh, good, my bags are exactly the same. As to what they were. Exactly, like the 3-year coma. So, we'll see where we go from here. But in any case, it's been an interesting microcosm of a month, because, one thing we've also said is that everything we thought was going to happen in the next 8 months literally happened in 3 weeks. And maybe it's a sign to come. Maybe it's a sign to come on, maybe a preview of how possibly you should consider structuring your bags and your allocations moving forward. But I'm excited for this DeFi rotation once it starts to come through. And we start seeing. We're already seeing some of it. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. I'll highlight the number one spot there. Hype is like probably best example of just good product, had a strong launch, good tokenomics, and just crushed it, right? And I think you'll see more of those. And I think Hyperliquid also, I know we'll talk about DeFi.app in a bit, kind of sets a pole position for projects that are going towards kind of like a abstracted experience like they're doing. I think they did a really good job. I think they did an awesome job with that launch. And I want to see more projects like that.
Yeah,
I
think
we will. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the real ceiling for altcoins depends on, because I mean, there's been like another order of magnitude increase in the number of projects. I mean, just not even counting meme coins, just regular normal projects. There's at least 10x more projects than there was in the last cycle out there, still technically tradable and existing. And so I'm curious to see how retail liquidity gets distributed, or liquidity overall, like now that there's so many more projects. Meme coins are just kind of their own spin cycle, just kind of constantly frothing. And I think the big winners, the whales from meme coins will eventually rotate into the quote unquote normal projects. And that'll be a big boost. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see like how this rotation happens with so many projects out there now.
Agreed.
I do think this is the linchpin. I'll be honest. Uniswap V4 it was supposed to come out rumored October 16th. A couple things they had to kind of shore up and get looked at again, but good chance this actually comes out sometime a little bit this month. Uniswap V4 is going to be a very huge innovation for a lot of DeFi products, specifically in different ways that you can provide liquidity. Could be a very interesting for places like Hyperliquid and Phantom Sonic, even Berachain if they ever actually launch, stuff like that. Looking for that Q5 launch from Berachain, but it's just one of these things that I think Uniswap again is under the microscope to kind of see where it's going to be going. And what's interesting is that I'm not going to lie, we kind of faded Uniswap for a minute because ultimately, are they ever going to give value back to uni holders? If they finally get Unichain off the ground and they do a fee switch where a portion of money comes back to uni stakers, I think that makes a big difference because, I mean, they've made a shit ton of money off of front end fees with a 0.25% fee using the UI. So it's I think it's high time that Uniswap stakers, or at least Uniswap uni holders rather, get a chance to finally see some return on their investment. Because I'll be honest, I think this is still hype. This could come crashing down once they turn on a fee switch or something. But like I said, we'll see. Either way, like you mentioned, Shreddy with hype. It's I'm excited to see more projects follow this path.
That uni pump is also the administration change too, and
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can say that about XRP. You can say that about quite a few other places that we've had more ETFs filed because the fact that Trump is going to be coming into office. So Van Eck was very transparent about that when they filed the Solana ETF, which caused another big pump for Sol 6 months ago. So and now we have multiple. Granted, most of these, and I'm just kind of overstating what's been in the news, the past month. We're seeing a lot more altcoins get ETFs in other markets, not U.S. markets, but like Europe, stuff like that. There's ETFs for things like XRP and Sol already out there. So we're going to see more of these in more global markets, and that's good for crypto overall. It's all about just getting the next million out here, coming from the retail side instead of the institutional side. So with that said, how do you want to attack this, Shreddy?
It's a good question.
Let's talk a little about DeFi.app.
Yeah, maybe I can give a brief intro of what I'm building. Also, Robert here, I don't think he's got context either, so that would be helpful for him.
For sure.
Should I just pull up the main website? Is that good?
Yeah, you can pull that up. So
there we go.
There we go. Better than sex. Ding. We have a lot of fun with taglines and stuff like that. Essentially, what we're going after is, so today we've been talking about a lot of like where is liquidity going to flow, what is the possibility or capability of this cycle to run. I think it is harder for cycles to mature and for industries to mature if there's not like easy access by the average person into those sectors. And I think like, yes, the like Wall Street has been, traditional finance, whatever you'll call it, has been sort of easy to access for a long time. You could have a broker, whatever, E-Trade account. Then Robinhood came along and really cracked it wide open and basically said, we can put all of that in the palm of your hand. You can use, you can interact like a banker if you want to. You can get options, futures, access, all that stuff. And so our ethos was that should be something that is available to anybody who wants to use crypto or wants to get into DeFi. You should be able to just come onto an app, onboard with an email, a social login, protect it with a Face ID, similar to how you would use any of those other apps. But everything can and should be on chain, and it should feel as good or better than a centralized exchange. So a Coinbase, Robinhood, crypto side, that sort of thing. And so that's what we've kind of gone for with this app. And the idea is also for it to be chain abstracted. Like everything that we talk about, I mentioned like speculation on ARB and Base and all these L2s and stuff like that. That's important to us because we've been here for so long. But someone who's coming in for the first time, one, it's confusing to them, and two, it doesn't really matter unless they're maybe going to buy the token of the chain that they choose. If they're getting a quick and cheap transaction from one token to the next, that's probably all they care about. And so feeding them token to token transactions, we think, is more important than saying we're going to provide this token that's going to be bridged here. You can choose your bridge, choose your DEX. No, it should just be trade the tokens. Everything on the back end gets used as infrastructure as it is meant to be used. And then we just abstract it all the way for the user. So there's just a very just very simple experience. That's really the idea. And then maybe you want to click into the actual prototype or the alpha of the app.
So that's also quick question, dude. So you just automatically choose on the back end which swap is the cheapest. You just
I can talk about that a little bit here as well. So, for example, you would log in with the app. Let's say you logged in with an email, which I think Chris has done here. What it'll do is spin you up two wallets. So can you click on the hamburger at the top right just to show it? You get one for EVM chains, one for Solana interactions. And we've chosen 5 chains to start with just as kind of like a go-to-market. So that's ARB, Base, ETH Mainnet, BSC, and Solana. And so you can freely swap between all these chains. When you come on and you sign in with this flow, this passkey flow, you don't have to sign transactions and you don't have to use gas. It's all abstracted away. So maybe we can try a swap, and then we can talk about like how we select and choose providers. Maybe we should do, I don't know, should we do a SOL to EVM swap?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Let's do SOL to ARB, because I think
ARB
that should give you a direct. And bear with us if it doesn't, go through fast enough, it's probably because it's in the alpha state. Did we lose Chris?
Wow. Okay, cool. So looking at the route, looks like you have providers on the route are going to be Jupiter. DSwap, is that from DBridge?
I think your screen, Robert, can you see his screen?
No, it's frozen.
Oh, hold on. Oh, you know what? I have. It's probably because I have I have a VPN on, but I need the VPN on, right?
I don't know. You should be able to access it. I think you'll be okay.
Okay. Am I still frozen?
Yes.
You're not frozen,
Dope.
but the screen sharing is.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me.
It's starting to show up now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's starting to show up. Okay, good.
It's just
Yeah.
might be lagging still a little bit though.
A little bit. So maybe pop out that root menu again.
Yeah. Oh, this the root menu. Sorry.
Yeah, down there.
Oops. There we go. So we have. Oh wow! It shows the entire thing here. There's so 49 seconds estimated.
Thing. Yeah, it'll show you the entire thing before you even do the swap, which is great. And there is a capability for us to give the user optionality. I want to talk about this fee a little bit because these are the nitty gritty when you come down to building these apps. These are the things that you try to optimize for. Obviously, like as low to zero as we could go is optimal. DSwap in particular, been great partners of ours. The way that they structure their fees is more of a high fee, but in return you get very fast finality, right? So it's like near instant. It's estimating 49 seconds, but it's probably going to end up being more like 10 to 15. There are trade-offs with that, so you can lower the fee, but it may take a little bit of longer time. So why don't we see if this one will go through?
Okay.
But the way that we think about this is kind of how Llama Swap, DeFi Llama's swap feature will feed you, 5 or 6 different routes, and we just kind of take the best one for the user.
Right.
And we say this is the one that's going to work best for you. I think this transaction is probably weighting time heavily over fee.
Right.
But we do have the modularity to add in, a bunch of different bridge aggregators, DEX aggregators, stuff like that. And so, you can see other things here. You can also enable GTO bundling. So protect against MEV, do automatic slippage. You can choose your own slippage if you want. These are all be checked off rip because it's simpler for the user, but there are more pro features built into it.
I'm kind of curious to see the range of fees. Like, how low can we get like that fee to go, for example? Because the finality there, so it's like 49 seconds, but how low can we get it to go?
We can probably, we can get it close to, industry standard. We could do that. You just also have to remember that it's not that there's no gas; it's that the gas comes out of the starting amount. So what you end up with will have gas and slippage subtracted. So we can get the fee down to industry standard in terms of how much it costs to execute the transaction, but you're still going to probably see some kind of fee that you wouldn't see on a DEX, but maybe you would see a higher fee on a centralized exchange, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true, because you'll pay like a specific amount, right? Like let's say you're on Coinbase and you're converting from one token to another, they'll charge you regardless of your amount. They're going to charge you like $3 or $4 per transaction. So no, I mean, I think this is fairly in line, but of course you're playing with a more of a decentralized ethos here. So that's good to see. So we'll go ahead and just click on this button.
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's also, to answer your question, Robert, like how much volume are you pushing through an app to where now we do need to lower the fees because either it's making so much money for the bridge provider or, did it not catch your passkey?
Oh, you know what? Because I am,
If
well,
not, that's all right.
no, I can actually just use my phone because I use 1Password with
Yeah, but when
all
it
of my
comes down
stuff.
to it, it's like when is a time where we say this fee is now an obstruction to the user experience? I
Mm.
mean, I think already, like, for someone who is going to swap $10 and they're getting charged $2 or $3, that's pretty hefty. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, I would
It might have
say
taken
it,
too.
it's kind of like
No,
no,
a
it took probably took too long.
it either took too long or it actually did go through, and it'll show in a bit. But this is still in an alpha, just for those watching. So transactions are going
Yeah,
to fail. By the time we launch, everything should be smoothed out very well.
I mean, if you just look at it
actually,
strictly
it's
in
there.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's not there.
yeah, if you look at it like strictly in percentage terms, I think like trying to gauge that like sweet spot for just flat, flat percentage for fee, or where you want to target it on average, or have it settle on average in terms of percentage, and in terms of like the average swap amount and volume and all that. It's probably like
Yeah.
around 5%, right? I mean, like you don't really want to go too much higher than
No.
yeah,
You
5%.
really want to keep it, yeah, definitely under that.
Yeah.
So we'll just chalk this up to the demo curse. But if you want to, we can
I'll try
go
one more
over.
time. How about that?
Yeah, try one more time.
Unless I, we'll try.
If it won't go through, then that's fine. Sol's been a little testy. I think with all the meme coin trading, it's really stressing the chain quite a bit. So stuff happens. One thing that we're also
Yeah, it's
working.
fairly smooth, this one.
Yeah, one thing we're also working towards is maybe working with a solver network or intents to be able to allow
Yeah.
people to say, to state their intention and then get that solved by a solver. So
There we go. Oh man,
there you
that
go.
was
So that one went through.
really fast.
So it quoted you 50 seconds, but really it was what, 10 maybe.
Oh, less than that.
Yeah.
Super fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
And so
it
that
took me longer to scan the code on my with my password.
The UI is great too. It's like super. It's pretty sweet. It's really easy on the eyes.
We tried to go for a very simple look, and then I wish I had ungrayed out versions, but if you want to click over to trade, I think that would be interesting to look at. So it's grayed out, but what you can kind of see here is an allusion to more of like a pro, like how Coinbase Pro was or is to Coinbase. Maybe stop, limit orders, stop loss, leverage, maybe even options. There's a few other really interesting things that we're working on with a couple of partners as well to really spice this up and make it different. But if we can source things like leverage from multiple different people, we can source the best funding rates, and aggregate it all into one place, kind of providing the user the best option without them having to search through a bunch of protocols. And the same would go for the earn page as well. What we wanted to go for with that was more of a selection of really high quality and high trusted DeFi yield sources. So your ETH staking, Sol staking, Bitcoin staking, lending rates, funding rates, that sort of thing. And then applying that to blue chip assets, but also like, popular alts and stuff like that, wherever we can provide the best value for the user. And the good thing about all the earn stuff is it should be one click. So if you have a position in a meme coin, you don't have to swap into the base asset. You should just be able to one click right into the strategy. We handle everything on the back end.
Yeah, the level of abstraction is awesome.
Yeah, very cool to use.
Yeah, and super necessary for the next wave.
Yes, as I pitched to Chris when we met, this is grandma friendly. That's where we try to we try to build it to that level of abstraction. So
Yeah.
whatever happens, someone who's completely new to this could just use it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say is the current like avatar for you guys in terms of in terms of who you're targeting with DeFi.app?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there's like in my mind, there's two types of people, and I kind of see this on a slider, the way that our industry is playing out. I feel like there are some projects that are geared more towards the extremely on-chain person who needs tools. And then there are others that are completely geared towards retail. And I feel like we can touch those both, but really where we would do well is either a centralized exchange user, enticing them to come on chain with a similar product so they can get access to more tokens, more yield, self-custody, all that. Or the lazy degen, which is kind of like how I feel I am often. Maybe I make, a dozen or 2 dozen trades in a week. I'm not doing that much. I just want something that I can get into and out of a coin quickly and, very easily. And I feel like that is probably a large portion of users, probably a lot larger than we think, because the vocal people are most likely heavily on chain, but there are so many people that interact and, either aren't on Twitter or just like don't really talk that much. And they do make up like the bulk of users. And I think there are way more of those kinds of people than we think there are.
Oh, I completely agree. No, I think that's a really good use case. What I will say about the experience so far, and I'm glad we were able to get this to be able to work the beta out here or the alpha out here on this call, is that the onboarding process for this was really seamless. I used an email. I don't use that often, which is probably, in my opinion, the best way to go about it. You can link multiple wallets to this. But I think just using the infrastructure that's in place, and I know the team that they work with this, and they're fantastic. Using an email, getting these wallets automatically created for you, using two-factor authentication, whether it be through passkeys or whatever is out there to keep all of this fairly abstracted away from you. It's a really smart design choice. I think it's going to be really big moving forward. With regards to you guys adding more chains or the ability to easily cross-chain swap across ecosystems, just for people who are willing to just take thoughtful design choices into part of their workflow experience. Because I'll be honest, that's something that we just have to prep a lot of our people for in our communities, is that essentially there are some things that you're just going to have to accept as part of the process, right? We often say that confusion equals money, because people are going to look at some of this stuff and say, oh, that's way too confusing, I'm not going to do that. But if you're able to look past the confusion, through the noise, find the right ways to do it, you'll be the one making the money. This kind of blurs that a little bit, right? Because it's removing like several layers of confusion, and it just works. And for a lot of people, what's the reason why people will make the argument for either an iPhone or a Samsung or a Google Pixel. It just works, which is the reason why people are using that. So yeah, kudos to you guys for this. This is obviously we've just seen a couple of things here, but I can definitely see the forest from the trees on what's going to be coming up for you guys soon. So
it's just going to get better and better. We're just going to keep building. We have a pretty cracked team. We're just working all the time. We had we had an all hands earlier today, had a very great week of updates that haven't yet made it into the app, but are coming next week. Essentially what we're doing is that whole passkey process, which you could still do. We've made that experience, or let me explain something first. If you were to log on with an EOA into DeFi.app and not go through the passkey process, you could still use this as a DEX bridge aggregator. You will just have to pay pay gas and sign transactions. What we've done is basically take that and kind of do a little bit what Hyperliquid has done and say, you can just sign a message with an EOA, and now you have a hosted wallet, and
Right.
you can have the passkey experience like right away. So that's going to be coming. I guess that's a little alpha, but the way that's kind of the way that I think it should go. Makes more sense to me, right?
Yeah.
So we're just working on stuff all the time, always taking suggestions, and our community's been great giving us feedback, and that's all it is. We have a couple tester groups, and we just let them crap all over the app. This broke, this sucks, and we just go ahead and fix it.
Have you considered integrating a portfolio tracker and manager option type things like VFAT and
yeah.
Wow,
So
pulling out the VFAT card. Oh,
this is we're basically, I think we have DBank integrated for EVM stuff. I think the guys are going to do step finance. I think they're indexing with Moralis, and maybe some particular EVM indexing themselves, but they're, anything that makes that process better and more accurate is always good. There's always room for that, because especially as we start adding in earn positions, like yield farming positions, things can get a little hairy with how it shows up in a portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. Moralis is actually pretty solid.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're good.
Oh
guys.
yeah, for sure. Moralis has been around for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, Shreddy, I know the answer to the question,
Yes,
but
we got some
for
questions.
for Kelly, what is an EOA? It stands for obviously externally owned address, but
Yes, it's just your MetaMask wallet, your Rabby, any of those existing wallets, something that you would externally connect into DeFi.app.
Let's see other questions we have. Russell's question. I guess we'll take this one. I have cash to buy a car for 100K. Is it better to deposit? Was it better to deposit the 100K on DeFi and take a loan on or to buy the car in cash? I mean,
I could be Dave Ramsey and say you shouldn't buy $100,000 car, but
exactly.
If you're going to, I mean,
well, they say the car loses 20% of its value right off the lot, right? So
I thought it was 50.
50?
Yeah. In terms of depreciation. If you counted inflation, right?
Yeah. Not financial advice, but I think that's the answer.
Yeah, you could pop it in a lending pool and just pull off your payments, I guess. But
I mean, we could just say that there are like a lot of lending pools that offer like 20% easily now. So I mean,
yeah,
it's risk. You take the risk, but it's out there for sure.
I'm just trying to think the workflow of how this would happen. So he goes to the bank and gets a loan for the car, with some terms. Let's say it's like a 5-year loan. He pays, $800 a month. He takes the $100,000, puts it in DeFi. Even as simple as like save finance on Solana, for example, or even Camino, or going to Aave, and getting or something like Fluid on Instadap, right? Something that'll get you in excess of 10% on USDC, and off of 100K, taking the interest off of that and just paying off your loan every month.
That's not so bad.
Not that bad. I guess it depends on if you want to pay your loan on time, or if you're good with being like a day late and playing the really interesting game of using DeFi services to pay your bills. That's certainly something. Anyway, yes, there's a lot of ways you could play that. I have too.
Do you know Spritz Finance?
I do. Spritz.
I love Spritz. Very good.
Spritz is good. They're based on Polygon, but they're multi-chain now. Spritz is good. You could even use Coinbase, right? Because you get a Coinbase debit card, and then you just seed it with USDC. Any USDC you're holding on Coinbase, and actually you can do it with any asset that they have available, you just have to pay for the swap fees, which no, not worth it. So just do native USDC. And I'm telling you right now, from my trip to Vancouver, all the shitcoin profits I've made, we're gonna be eating good in Vancouver using my Coinbase USDC debit card. But yeah,
Langoustines.
Lang-
Every meal.
langoustines and poutine all day, every day. No, but yes, you could obviously, if you can buy the car in cash. I mean, is that the easiest way to do the transaction? Yes. Is there a way to well, I guess if you do it that way, you don't have to worry about capital gains, right? Actually,
If you you okay, I'm wandering into financial advice there.
yes, obviously not financial advice. Do your own research on this.
This is all hypothetical.
You could borrow.
Hypothetical.
You could put it in a lending protocol and borrow the amount each month, and then send that. Of course, you're going to have to make gains on what you make out of the lending yield, but
exactly. Yeah, because you're not paying any taxes on anything you're actually borrowing. So
this is also all we're assuming he's U.S. based, but
yes, assuming you're U.S. based. I mean, where else are you going to buy cash? I mean, what other country? What other great country in this world are you going to buy a $100K car with cash? Give me my Rivian.
In Switzerland, maybe.
In Switzerland, yeah, that's true. Well,
Italy.
Anyway, Italy. Then why do you need $100K if you're only buying a $25,000 car? That's funny. See what you do. Oh, so the real answer then is you take $100K and then you start a pump.fun coin, literally saying, I'm going to buy a car with the funds from this. And you guys
25K
can,
car. Yeah.
Exactly. 25K car incoming. Love it. See, that's the best way to do it.
Totally.
Question from Kelly. This is actually a really good question. Is DeFi.app going to be available in all countries?
Yeah. Minus the OFAC sanction ones.
Yes.
Should be available everywhere.
You guys have an app as well, right? Mobile app?
We're going to. That's in the process.
Yep.
I think that's really like the biggest step here. Getting this on a phone. You could do, what is it called? PWA?
Progressive web app. Yep.
Yeah, you could do that. But
Yep.
I think we want to go for a full fat, like built from the bottom up mobile app. It'll look, it'll just feel and look so much better if you do it that way. Definitely in the cards.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question for you, Shreddy, is specifically, I've been touting the way that this has been put together because I love the login and getting the hosted accounts. A question that people are going to ask about, specifically with Kelly and her groups that are going to love using DeFi.app is security. So if you had a quick second to kind of talk about, the thoughts about the design choices for security and things like that, and how can, obviously in our group we talk a lot about staying safe.
Yep.
But what can users of this app, are there thoughtful things to remind them about security and stuff like that? Because obviously they're going to want to back up their recovery keys and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. So on that point, so for keys, we're going to have recovery keys. You're going to be able to also recover accounts, or we might eliminate the need for you to have to recover your accounts by adding in this hosted wallet experience. We do want to make sure that users know that it is DeFi. And so it's not like we're a bank and, we're not FDIC insured. When you interact with the product, it is a DeFi app. So it is full custody. It is no KYC, but that means there is any of the risk that you would take on any of these other projects. But what we've done is, instead of saying, all right, here's this brand new bridges are notorious for having security issues, right? So we really have to be careful about this. And even Li-Fi, right, one of our integrators, had a pretty nasty exploit in the very early stages of us building, which kind of got us thinking we need to build in redundancy. So one of the things that we've done as a security measure is we've said, okay, if we're going to have someone monitoring all these all the time, whatever security outfit that is. They can ping us when an exploit happens, and we can have this automatically kind of like valve off any transactions going through that. So that's one step, right? So we've got redundancy, and you could still make trades, but it'll just go through a different swap provider or bridge provider. Another thing is that anything that we do integrate, we do have to make sure that it's heavily audited. So, if you're going to do a bridge transaction, you're probably going to use one of the partners that we have under the hood anyways. But we do take like very special care to only pick people who we are very positive will, have a very high security interest in mind, because that's the way we operate as well. There may also be options in the future to have like some sort of like insurance built in onto the app. I've seen a lot of protocols doing DeFi insurance. I feel like it's kind of hard. It's a hard game to price. I think there are some good teams doing it, but maybe it's something you could opt in for your experience on the app. Other than that, the good thing for most people to know is that most of the app here is UX based. It's UI and design. So it's more of like a layer. So we don't have a ton of smart contract lift. There are some, and the smart contracts are basically built to, kind of cross those wires on the back end and make those interactions happen. But the smart contract risk on our side is very minimal. And of course, we're going to do like really heavy audits anyways before we put the full fat product out. But yeah, we just tell people to be mindful. Like, I'm sure your community already knows, but DeFi does have an inherent risk. And since we're not a centralized exchange, it's not like we're custodying your funds. So it's also that if something bad were to happen and there was a mismanagement, you are not affected by that. So it's still, kind of protected in that way. But yeah, for us, it's everything we do is very security minded. We try to build with security. We know this is new technology and it's a little scary, right? So we're going to be doing pen testing for the passkeys and the hosted wallets, for the accounts themselves. Like, we're going to try to go above and beyond and really make people feel comfortable and think that they, know that they can trust us. So.
No, that's a great point. I'm going to actually take a couple of minutes to talk more about this. But before that, I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining us on the call today. This is the birthday stream for me today, and thank you very much for the kind wishes in the chat. I want to say thank you, of course, to our guest. We have Robert Williams, Please Hire This Man, here on the show, and of course we have Shreddy from DeFi.app, our featured panelist today. Thanks for joining us again. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. We're going to have a video of this out on YouTube soon. So if you know anybody who is looking to obviously know more about this product, we'll have a video out there probably within the next 12 hours. The stream, of course, is up. We'll have a specific video just for this. And of course, as you're using DeFi and DeFi.app, of course, if you're looking for more information, please join our free group, Total Value Locked from Beacon DeFi. Get the DeFi education you need to use this app to its fullest. And that's absolutely free. Learn from the best in the business. School.com/Beacon. Hearing a lot of now that obviously Bitcoin's at 100K and is over 4K, I'm getting a lot of really interesting inquiries on how they can start playing in this space and making the real gains that people are talking about, doing it safely and securely. You can do so with our group at Total Value Locked from Beacon DeFi. So again, back to DeFi.app. I have a couple questions for you, Shorty. The first is obviously join our beta. What are we looking at in terms of a release schedule or plans on when we're going to see this come out to the public?
Yeah. So anybody who was having FOMO from watching Chris use the app, don't worry. This beta is actually coming out very soon. We're expecting mid-December. I know we're already at December 6th. So let's call it like the third week of December. I think we'll start rolling out our first cohorts for the beta testing. Sign up for this as soon as possible. We've got a deep list already, but I think we can fast track anybody in your community that wants to get in and start using it right away. Shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, but like really soon. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about, but we're very, very close to it.
No, that's great. I think you mentioned, the five blockchains that you're using in the beginning. Um, are there any other ecosystems you guys are considering? Obviously, there's all kinds of intent networks out there. Like you could use, Acrosses and all the other ones that are out there. Is there plans to consider some of the new alt-L ones like Sui or Aptos, possibly IBC, Cosmos IBC, stuff like that?
Yeah, the beauty of the app is that we built it modularly and non-exclusive. So as we add a bridge partner, if they turn on access to a chain, it should be as easy as possible to also turn it on our side. I would say, yeah, we're definitely looking at some alt L1s. Also looking at, Bitcoin and how things are looking around the Bitcoin ecosystem. Any of those L2s, L1s, L3s, whatever you want to call them. And then maybe your more popular kind of like hype chains that are coming out. I mean, we know what they are. Your Monad, your Bera. Those teams have been awesome, and we're
literally
really trying to figure
Hyperliquid.
out. Yeah, I mean, also Hyperliquid as well. It's another place that we're going to plug into. So maybe that's a little bit too much alpha, but the idea for us, I would say, is anywhere where I kind of consider it as we don't need to add every chain, but we want to add the chains where people are trading tokens and are using apps, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. You want to make sure and that's something we talk about in our communities all the time, going where the hot balls of money are, because volume's the main driver, TVL and volume. That ratio is what drives yield. That's what it drives, a lot of the gains that we're looking at today, especially with the way things are architected. So whether you're providing liquidity and concentrated liquidity or just on a perp dex, playing off of other traders' behaviors, volume and TVL is what's going to get you the majority of what you're looking for these days when it comes to gains. Robert, any questions that you have for Shreddy? I'll be respectful of his time. Take your time.
I think I've already asked a few questions that I had throughout the process. Yeah, I think I'm good for now.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me personally, I appreciate meeting you guys and you guys being so open with talking with me about this. It's been a really nice experience to use the app so far. Excited to see where it goes from here. I do think there's going to be a lot of people very interested in using this app, specifically if they are looking for something a little bit easier or just maybe something a little bit less intense than going through your regular CEX and using something like Rabby Wallet and whatnot. I did want to ask one thing, and that's the last thing I'll ask is about the onboarding process. Talk to me a little bit about the ease at which you can actually fund your wallets, and I guess that's something I didn't cover here.
Yeah, we
actually
yeah. You know why we didn't cover it? Because I sent you some tokens to play around with.
Right.
If you were ultimately, our goal would be this would be something where you could fiat on and off ramp, and there are ways to do that now. Obviously, MoonPay, those sorts of integrations, and that could work. That could be a good first step. There's also like it's so quick. It's very easy to send and receive out of these wallets. And I actually sent you these tokens from another passkey wallet on a DeFi.app account.
Okay.
But if you can click into either send and receive if you want to really quickly. It works just the same, or go over on those buttons right there. Yeah.
Yep.
So you click that, you can just click either of those. And it'll just ask you for the destination address in the network. As long as we support the network, it's a place where you can send those tokens. And then, I mean, ultimately what we'd like to have is not only fiat on and off ramp, but I think it would be really cool if people want to take the next step to have them off ramp into DeFi, right? So like maybe work with a wallet partner and say people can then spin off, their own EOA into DeFi. I think that would be really interesting. So,
which I think is probably the smarter thing to do anyway. You definitely want to layer your risk with stuff like this, right? And you want to make sure that you're in a situation where you don't have everything in one wallet. The other end, I guess the other question I have is there support for Ledger or Trezor or any of that type of stuff?
There should be. I think so. I have to check on you with that. I that's actually a good question. I would imagine
that'll be the other thing.
But yeah, I got to check.
Yep. Yeah. Onboarding will just be as simple as just, using a service to get to these destination addresses that you get when you create the wallet. It's no different than if you create a new Aptos or Sui wallet in some of these newer email, or like I think it's TipLink is the technology that a lot of these use if they're not using something like Dynamic. But yeah, really awesome. Really happy for you guys. Excited to see what comes up very soon. And thanks for joining us here on the call today. I would love to have you back once you guys have launched and kind of dive a little bit deeper into what you guys have coming around for the community. So
yeah, that'd be fantastic. It was an absolute pleasure. It's great.
Yeah, it's been fun. Anything else, Robert, you want to talk about?
All good for now. Yeah, thanks a lot, Shreddy. It was really, really awesome demo, and I'm looking forward to taking it for a spin.
Yeah.
And the demo worked the second time. It worked
the second time. We'll get there. First time's next step. That's when beta comes out. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, Chris. And let me know if any of your community wants, needs early access or anything like that. I want to hook you guys up.
Yeah, awesome.
I would like to connect too. So let's connect.
Yep. Robert, just hit me up after. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody's interested, just reach out to me. Or just talk on the. We had a post today that was on School about joining us live. If you're interested on School, respond to that, and we'll make sure that provide us with an email, or once you get set up, we'll work something out. But essentially, we'll get you guys in so you guys can experience this. It's actually, like I said, it's very, very fluid, very easy to get set up, and really excited to see where we go from here. So. And again, I just want to be respectful of your guys' time. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today on this very special day, the day of my birth, along with many other great people on this earth. So if it is also your birthday today, happy birthday. Have a great one. Hope you're spending it with friends and family and getting all the spoils of what we all do on our birthday. So we are our normal call, Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back next Wednesday here on our YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook group, I guess, is where we also simulcast too at the same time with another guest. Actually, I already know who the guest is. It's going to be, I don't know if you met him at all, Shreddy. He's a crypto native lawyer. His name is Tafik from Renault and Company. We're going to have him and a couple other people on to talk about why legal representation is important if you are someone in this space who is looking for legal representation, whether if you're a founder or just a user, and you want to make sure you have access to people who understand how things like this should be working in Web3. It's an episode you don't want to miss. So we'll see you then on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern for our next panel here on the TVL Show from Beacon DeFi. Again, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Stick around, gentlemen, for me. As we always say, beacons up, banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.